Welcome to Global India Podcast, another enlightening episode. Youthful looks and hair. Hope I got your attention. I'm delighted to introduce our guest, dermatologist, trichologist, and aesthetic surgeon who's multi talented and faceted. He's a gold medalist from Karnataka and graduate from Stanford. He's head of the dermatology at St. John's Hospital, Bangalore, and also 30 plus years of teaching experience. He was listed as one of the best teachers in the country, but his talent does not just stop here. His passion for theatre has led him to work on several theatre projects like Midsummer Night's Dream, Tughlaq, and many more. He also wrote and directed a play, Gentleman, played to full houses in Delhi, Kolkata, and Mumbai. He created a comic character, Uncle Appukuttan Nair, which can be viewed on YouTube. It is hilarious. I have watched it and it's really good. He was also invited on TED Talk. Community service and helping the needy is something which he learned at a young age from his parents and continues helping others. Welcome, Dr. Anil Abraham. Well, Anil, the first important question is about facial skin and wearing the mask. Some people seem to get some kind of irritation around their chin because of especially people in frontline who are working long hours or whatever. Can you help us with some suggestions what we can do and why this is caused?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. One small clarification. Yeah, you have introduced me as the professor and head of the department at St. John's. Yes, I was, and I worked at St. John's for 30 years, teaching students and seeing patients. And that was a very, very wonderful phase of my life. But presently, I'm completely in private practice. Okay, your first question is about face masks and the skin. It's an interesting question because we're seeing a huge number of patients coming in after the lockdown was relaxed, complaining about the kind of problems the face mask is causing. Yes, there has been an increased incidence of acne. There's even a term used for it, mask acne. So, in those who are prone to getting pimples, those with oily skin, teenagers, those who use a lot of makeup, and those who are using the mask for a long period of time, it's been found that the incidence of acne in the lower half of the face that's covered by the mask is more. And it's difficult to treat because you've created an artificial area of more humidity and occlusion that is being covered with a cloth, or depending on the material of the mask, whatever material is used in the mask, for long periods of time, which the face is not used to. It's used to breathing, it's used to being in the open. So the skin being covered for long periods of time increases the heat, the sweating, the oiliness building up on the skin under the mask, and this can result in acne. One other interesting thing that usually happens is that we are finding cases of tinea, which is a type of fungal infection. So redness, itching, irritation happening under the mask because of a fungal infection. Now, this can be compared to something that we commonly see in areas of occlusion where there is more of heat and sweating, like the underarms or the groin. So that's been happening on the face, and it's an unnatural or unusual thing because the face is normally open and breathing, exposed to the environment, and therefore doesn't get so much of heat and sweating.
Let's move on to what is on everybody's mind: anti aging, youthful skin. How does one do this? I realize it's not a one line answer, and we will need several podcasts to cover this topic, and few tips to help us all look young and maintain a healthy skin. Please comment on it.
Okay, that's a difficult question. You could even refer to it as $1 million question. Isn't everyone looking for the secret of eternal youth? First, I'll get this off my plate. I'm not comfortable with the term anti-aging. It somehow sounds like we're against aging. I wish we would age gracefully and be comfortable in the skin we are at any age. That said, yes, everyone wants to know how to have youthful skin. Other than having wonderful parents, because genetics matters a lot, I think lifestyle is primary in youthful skin. So eating in proportion, eating small proportions, not avoiding anything that you really like to eat, but eating very small amounts of them. Always leave a little hunger behind. Leave, fill about 3/4 of your stomach, and always leave yourself a little wanting as far as food is concerned. Eat obviously a lot of natural food. Get some exercise regularly, whatever exercise you like, whether it's dance or a walk in the park or yoga, or just on the spot crunches and things like that. Do the exercise you like, but do it every single day. And I think it's also vital to keep your mind healthy, to do spring cleaning of your mind with meditation or with prayer or anything else that suits you, because keeping a healthy mind reflects on your face and your face looks much more youthful. Don't forget that a smile is your best makeup. So whatever life has to offer, smile a little bit. People will find you much more good looking and youthful if you're smiling on a regular basis. This is one part of the answer, but I'm wondering whether people want to hear from a dermatologist what he thinks is the actual dermatological secret to youthful skin.
What can we do about female baldness especially on the crescent? What can be done to avoid, hair loss for women? I mean, men seem to find it quite cool that if they lose their hair, they just shave it and have a Yulbrunner look. That seems to be no issue for them. But for women, I don't think that's something which we are going to take on. Persis Kambata was very, very, modern in her aspect of shaving her whole head. I think it was for a Sean Connery movie. I don't recall.
Hmm. Baldness and hair loss in women. Again, another common problem that people often come in with. You've asked specifically about loss of hair on the crescent. Yes, that's usually hormonal. But I think I will speak a little about hair loss in general, which is what most people come in with, as in they enter the clinic in a huge panic saying, "Doctor, can you do something for me? I think I'm losing all my hair. Every time I comb my hair, there's hair in my comb, there's hair in my bathroom drain, there's hair in my husband's butter chicken, there's hair all over the place." So this is the situation that we commonly see. And most people don't realize that hair loss is connected with the system. It's connected with the body, and we just see it as a singular problem on the head. It isn't. It is a lot to do with other things that are going on within us, which can range from thyroid problems, which can range from anemia, incorrect nutrition, vitamin deficiency. A lot can do with stress, the wrong kind of water if you move from one place to another, and so on. There are so many causes for hair loss when it's generalized. When it's in a pattern, usually on the scalp, and there's a significant thinning as women grow older, it's referred to as female pattern hair loss, and that is usually due to the hormonal changes in the body, which also has correction both in the form of tablets and in the form of hair serums, which are available to stimulate hair loss. So the important thing in hair loss is to realize that it's based on a cause. There is no one oil or cream or shampoo which makes everything okay. You can't pick it off the shelf. You will have to investigate the cause with your doctor, find out what the reason is, and then effectively treat the hair loss, because you're treating the cause and not the symptom. When we see a person with hair loss, we ask ourselves two questions. One, is it diffuse or generalized all over the scalp, and or is it localized in a patch, because the causes are different? And the second we check is whether it's a scarring type of hair loss, where there's actual destruction of the hair follicles, in which case our line of treatment would be totally different, or is it a non-scarring type of hair loss? We then propose to examine the scalp carefully with an instrument known as a trichoscope, which gives us a reflection on what is going on at the level of the root of the hair. So basically you're getting to the root of the problem, which could be internal, like I told you, it could be hormonal, it could be related to a nutritional deficiency, and that needs to be treated at the same time as you're treating hair in order to get a good response. Otherwise, as Shami Kapoor sang a long time ago, the situation at home will be like बाल बाल देखो हजार बाल देखो कि देखने की चीज है हमारा बाल हो. We don't want your baal all over the house, so we need to take care of the root cause of the problem. Like if you had a tap leaking, instead of wiping the floor, we would call in the plumber, or ourselves, we would change the washer on the tap to see that the root cause of the problem has been treated and not the symptom, which is the dripping tap.
Now, let's talk a little bit about your views on the COVID vaccine as a doctor.
Now you're going to get me into trouble. The COVID vaccine is one of the most controversial topics that a doctor can discuss today. Because, yes, if you're asking me, is it the ideal way we've reached the vaccine? No, it isn't. But are we in an ideal situation? No, we're in a pandemic. Everything is being hurried. So we have had to do a few shortcuts to get to this point, and I think it's a valid set of shortcuts because if you're going to take years to develop a vaccine, which is how it normally develops, I don't think it will be relevant to the pandemic that we're having right now. So we have a vaccine. It's not gone through the due diligence or the process that every vaccine should. We have cut a few corners and we've reached over here. And it's great that we have a vaccine which is indigenously manufactured and available to our citizens in a period of time. I'm sure everybody will have access to it. Comparing the vaccines is literally like comparing apples and oranges. There are pros and cons for each vaccine. Some of them have a wider spectrum of coverage. Some of them are less allergenic and less likely to cause you a little fever or allergic reaction. The vaccine that is easily available to you and that your doctor recommends, ideally you should take, because herd immunity will build up, which means all of us will get immunity at the same time, and that helps the community. We are able to tackle a pandemic better, and gradually over a period of time we will be able to go back to normal life. I have had my vaccine and my wife has had her vaccine. During the process, because they were working with frontline workers and their family, my family has also had their vaccination done. If that gives you some kind of confidence in the vaccine, I hope it helps. Did I have fears? Was I having some amount of trepidation? Yes, but that's normal before I get any injection. Not
Thanks a ton, Anil, for taking your time from your busy schedule of being the head of the dermatology at St. John's, and also I think you're involved with some other things. So thank you so much for taking your time to talk to us. Now let's talk about your passion. I don't mean your wife, but your other passion, theater and comedy. Tell us about Uncle Appukutan Nair, and can you give the listeners who have not heard you a sample of this amazing guy? Especially the Malayalis are going to enjoy that.
my wife is my passion and she's the wind beneath my wings. But you're asking about comedy and Uncle Appukutan Nair. Yes, that is a very exciting part of my life. Stand up comedy, doing comic sketches on radio. Appukutan Nair was on Radio City. And also working with an improv group called Improvise and The Improv, whom I worked with earlier. So comedy is great fun. Uncle Appukutan Nair as an alter ego, as an alter character that I use to dole out old man uncle advice has been great fun. He was successful on radio. He started because I just wanted to say many things and found that it's more palatable when you're offering advice with a bit of humor, a bit of Bollywood song, and people are able to understand, accept, and digest the advice that is given to you. So hopefully there's a message at the end of every Uncle Appukutan episode. Okay, a sample of Appukutan you asked for. Here he comes. Hello? Hello. Everyone knows me, Uncle Appukutan Nair. Everybody comes to me only for advice on everything, whether it is dermatology or discrimination, whether it is color or confrontation. Appukutan Uncle's advice never fails, Just the other day, my neighbor, that fair and lovely Fatima, she came to me and she was very upset. She said, "Oh my God, Uncle, do something about my husband, huh? He's so dark, Kuch karo, Uncle, please, oh my God." Ayyo, not fair, mole, not fair, Fatima, I told her. His being fair or dark is immaterial. Is he a loving husband? Is he a caring father? Is he a responsible citizen? That is what you have to look at, not the skin color. Hum kale hai to kya hua dil wale hai. We don't see the real person. We get so distracted by the designer gown. Let's accept all people as they are, in all their 50 shades of brown. Fatima was seen happily chatting with her husband that evening, beaming at his sincere, smiling face. Problem solved. Always ask Appukutan Uncle, they say. So simple, no? The other type of comedy, other than the radio characters and the YouTube character like Uncle Appukutan, the other kind of comedy that I do is the one that I referred to earlier as improv comedy. We work as a team. The exciting part of improv comedy is you never know how it's going to be on a given day because it is based on audience suggestions. You go there, You ask for suggestions from the audience, and they tell you, okay, do a sketch on Valentine's Day, and immediately two actors have to stand up and create a scene which is about Valentine's Day and has to intrinsically be funny to the audience as it goes along. So this is very challenging. It keeps your brain active. It's like doing Sudoku or something like that, and it's my anti-Alzheimer's plan, because it's always challenging and exciting, and it's also working with lots of young people and is different every day. There is no pre-prepared script. There are two things about improv that I really enjoy. One is called yes anding. That means whatever situation has been created, you have to say yes to it, and you have to add something of value of your own, which is a great principle for life, because many times life serves you with situations that are really difficult to accept. You have to say yes, and you have to add something of value of your own. The greatest example recently has, of course, been the lockdown situation. The second principle of improv comedy that I enjoy thoroughly is something called there are no mistakes. So all of us have stumbled occasionally in life, and there's this wonderful saying which says, if you stumble, make it part of the dance. So this is something that improv teaches us. You make mistakes often. Everything is not rehearsed, and if you stumble, you make it part of the dance. The mistake becomes part of the sketch, and everyone is laughing with you, and you learn to laugh at yourself. Self-deprecatory humor is probably the best grade of humor in the world. So improv comedy, I feel, has some principles, has some qualities that have helped me to grow as a person.
Well, Anil, that was really entertaining. So you are definitely absolutely talented. There's a lot more questions I could be asking you, but I think our time is up. We really appreciate you taking the time to participate in our podcast. Lots of luck in your journey as a doctor and as Uncle Appukutan Nair, and all the very best for your future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to be part of this family and this podcast. I've really enjoyed speaking to you, and I thank the entire team for the wonderful work that you're doing. I've listened to so much of the other work that you've put out there, and it's always been very inspiring. I wish you all the best, and I hope you go from strength to strength.
Thank you, Shakira and Dr. Abraham, for a very informative session, simultaneously packed with humor. Uncle Appukutan Nair was simply awesome. He will forever be etched in our memories. A big thank you to our listeners for your continued support. We conclude this episode with a peppy Bollywood song.
बार बार देखो हजार बार देखो कि देखने की चीज है हमारा दिलरुबा डाले हो डाले हो डाले हो ओ बार बार देखो हजार बार देखो कि देखने की चीज है हमारा दिलरुबा डाले हो डाले हो डाले हो हाँ जी हाँ और भी होंगे दिलदार यहाँ लाखों दिलों की बहार यहाँ पर ये बात कहाँ है हाँ जी हाँ और भी होंगे दिलदार यहाँ लाखों दिलों की बहार यहाँ पर ये बात कहाँ ये बेमिसाल हुस्न लाजवाब ये अदा टाले हो टाले हो टाले हो बार बार देखो हजार बार देखो कि देखने की चीज है हमारा दिलरुबा डाले हो डाले हो डाले हो एक जाने महफिल मिला या चिराग मंजिल मिला, ये न पूछो कि कहाँ दिल मिला। एक जन महफिल मिला, या चिराग मंजिल मिला, ये न पूछो कि कहाँ। नया नया ये आशिकी का राज है मेरा, टाली हो टाली हो टाली हो। बार बार देखो, हजार बार देखो, कि देखने की चीज है हमारा दिलरुबा। टाली हो टाली हो टाली हो।